to Exploring Tarot. My name is Sandy, and today we are going to look at this very special Lord of the Rings deck in honor of the World Tolkien Reading Day. So this deck I received as a Christmas gift from my partner, and it's from this Etsy shop called FickesArt. Unfortunately, I could not find any information about the creator, what their name is, and so on, because the deck only came in this type of blank tuck box, quite sturdy one though, and the deck does not come with a guidebook either. It only comes with this little fold out that only states what characters are depicted in each card. So, whoops. A little bit of a disclaimer before we start. I am recording this intro after I have already recorded the rest of the video, because it turned out to be a very long one. I did not intend it to be that. I sat down to film a flip through of this video, and it just accidentally turned into this deep dive first impressions video. Even though I received this as a Christmas gift, I actually didn't do much more than a really quick flip through. I didn't get to know the deck then at all. I didn't feel quite ready for it. But now I just felt a sudden draw to it, since I am rereading the books, or I'm listening to the audiobooks that Andy Serkis has read in, and they are fantastic, by the way. You have to listen to them. And now I just wanted to put that little disclaimer out there that I hadn't had before. I mean, I've only just started listening to the audiobooks again, and before that it was quite a while ago since I read the books before then, and that time I read them in Swedish, so it's my knowledge of the lore, like Middle Earth lore, really needs some brushing up. I am not like a super duper knowledgeable. I actually found that a lot of the time I wasn't able to remember what was in the books and what was in the films, and vice versa. I mean, I watch the films at least once a year, but like I said, the books, it's been a longer while since I read the book. And so this is going to be an off-the-cuff first impressions kind of walkthrough where I discuss the choices of depictions in the cards and how they relate to the tarot, to the best of my ability. And for those of you who are looking for a quick, relaxing, just flip through of the cards, I will be posting at the same time a short flip through with some relaxing music in the background, so you can have a look at that one instead if that's more to your liking. This video, like I said, is going to be quite long, so if you are ready for it, please buckle up and just grab a cup of tea, sit back and relax and enjoy this walkthrough / first impressions. You can always pause and come back later if that's if you find that you can't sit through the whole thing at once. But this is more for the ones who are a bit more into Lord of the Rings, and I hope that you will enjoy it. Okay. As the Fool we have Peregrine Took, and he's quite an excellent choice for the Fool. He gets called a fool quite often in the films and the books, and in this scene here that is depicted, he's just stolen this all-seeing orb, the Palantir, from Gandalf while he's asleep, and in it basically takes a hold of his mind and creates a connection to Sauron, and risks this whole mission of theirs. And yeah, Peregrine Took takes a lot of risks, and acts quite hastily because of his curiosity. And yes, it's an excellent Fool card. For the Magician, we have Saruman the White, and I'm not sure I like it, but at the same time it works. He's a magician or a wizard, and he does use all of his tools in his arsenal to bring forth and create his own path. And yeah, it definitely works as the magician. Although he's not a very nice magician, is he? He's evil. Or he wasn't always, but he has been manipulated by evil powers. For the High Priestess, we have Galadriel, and it is very suitable for the High Priestess. Galadriel is the Queen of Lothlorien. She's an elf queen. She possesses the gift of foresight and has this water mirror that she can divine in, and yeah, she is perfect as the High Priestess, in my opinion. Now Arwen is the Empress, and the Empress stands for, motherhood, abundance, fertility, creativity, and I feel that Arwen can symbolize all of these things easily. And in this deck as well, the Empress and the Emperor mirror each other in a really perfect way, and Aragorn is the perfect Emperor. He's, takes charge, and he's a natural born leader and born king, and is a fair and just person, and I've had a really hard time connecting to the Emperor as an archetype, but I think that Aragorn here is going to help me with that. Alright, we've got Gandalf the Grey as the Hierophant, and I don't know, hang on, I need to think about this. I think the struggle I'm having here is because the Hierophant, for me, I think about the I think about the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith depiction, and I don't get it to link up with Gandalf. But if you think about the Hierophant as a guide, somebody who gives guidance, who listens and teaches you things, and helps you find your inner voice, so that you can make the right decisions and do what's right, then absolutely Gandalf can be the Hierophant. Yeah, I like that. The lovers. Now this is interesting. Here we've got Gimli and Legolas as the lovers. And in a way, I suppose that's really sweet. I mean, I think most people would have assumed that the creator would have chosen Arwen and Aragorn. But if you look here as well in the card, you see the Gimli is standing here with some of his dwarf brethren, and Legolas is standing here with his elf kind. And they are all grayed out, and the only people in color are Legolas and Gimli. And that's really telling, to be honest. I'm going to try and find a pointer here. There we go. And that's really telling if you look closely, because dwarves and elves in the stories or in the book and the films, they don't get along, they don't like each other for various historical reasons. And Legolas and Gimli, they overcome all of that during their journey in the Fellowship and become very close friends, and you know, they risk their lives for each other again and again during the 3 books. So and they choose this for the greater good and also for each other. So I think this is a really, really lovely lover's card. The Chariot. Okay, here we've got Eomer and the Riders of Rohan in the background. That you can see here. And I mean, yeah, they are all on horses, so that's, you know, an obvious connection there to the Chariot card. But at the same, but also deeper in the story, it's quite a good connection to the Chariot anyway, because they know what they feel is right, and they know their loyalty to the kingdom of Rohan. And so when Rohan gets under the influence of Saruman, Eomer is actually exiled from Rohan, and he goes about his own way, riding around with his army of horsemen, and they fight the good fight on their own. They just break out on their own, and yeah, they hunt down orcs and such. They know where they're going. They have a goal in mind, but they're doing it on their own, taking their own path. And yeah, I think that's a really good Chariot card as well. Now, I have to say, I'm not an expert in Lord of the Rings at all. I am just a huge fan of the films and the books. But I have not read all of the historical books, you know, all the background, the Silmarillion and all of that. So I might be saying some wrong things. It's a while since I read the books now, and yeah, my memory is not what it used to be. But anyway, here we've got strength, and in the strength card we have Frodo Baggins. And here, this scene that is depicted here is when Frodo is at the council in Rivendell, where Elrond has gathered everyone to try and figure out what to do and to present the ring that you see here, to show everyone that it's been found and the threat from Mordor is real. And everybody starts arguing. Nobody can agree on if they should use the ring, or how to destroy the ring, or who should do it. And there's this really powerful scene where Frodo Baggins is just overwhelmed by all the shouting and the chaos, and he just realizes that he's the only one who will be able to take this ring to Mordor. And so he stands up and he says, I will take it. And that's a really lovely depiction of strength, the inner strength that he shows when all he wants to do is to go home, back to Bag End, back to Hobbiton, and he realizes that he needs to sacrifice his own will for the greater good. And so I really love this card. Here we've got Fangorn, or Treebeard, as the hermit, and it's just perfect, isn't it? He's all alone, a lonely tree herd in Fangorn Forest, and he's very wise and very old, and he gathers wisdom from all around. It's like when he's got Merry and Pippin in the Fangorn Forest with him. He questions them for hours about their homeland and their quest and everything, just so that he can gain wisdom and know more excuse me, know more about the world. And he is absolutely perfect as the hermit. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune is just the one ring to rule them all, which is, quite fitting. The ring decides when it wants to leave and when it wants to stay, and the ring also has this immense power over the bearer and creates fortune as well as creates misfortunes for the bearer. So it's quite self-explanatory. Right, justice is Theoden, the king of Rohan. And I suppose, considering the storyline, if I remember it correctly, I can't remember how it goes in the books now, in comparison to the films, I mean. But Theoden is quite upset with Gondor when they don't show up to defend and help Rohan in the battle at Helm's Deep. And so when he hears about when he sees the flames of Gondor has been lit, and that Gondor is in need of aid, he at first kind of refuses to help. He says, "Where was Gondor?" when they needed them. And in a way there he weighs up. He weighs up what he feels is just and what he feels is needed. And in the end, he obviously does make the right decision to go and help Gondor in their hour of need. So yeah, I can definitely see justice, Theoden as justice. But yeah. Alright, the hanged man is Faramir. Right. And this is a scene where his father, Denethor, I think, yes, his father, Denethor, is grieving because he thinks that his son is dead. He thinks that both of his sons are dead. And Faramir is actually just unconscious, but he puts him on this big fire as a funeral fire, and intends to burn himself together with his son because he thinks that the battle with Mordor is lost. And then Faramir suddenly wakes up just as Denethor catches fire. And Denethor realizes his mistake. And but by the time he does, it's too late. And he burns to death. So, yes, I suppose, the way you look at things, you sometimes are so blind and so covered in grief or in heartache and old ways that you cannot see what's actually in front of you, and you need a big shake up before you actually see what's going on. And that's a perfect depiction for the hanged man, I believe. Yeah. Alright, the death card. Oh, this scene makes me cry every dang time. This is the scene where Boromir dies, defending the Merry and Pippin as the Uruk-hai descends on them. And this is at the end of the first book and the first film, The Fellowship of the Ring. And this is the scene where Aragorn finds him, and this really beautiful dialogue ensues, where Boromir tells Aragorn of his foolish mistakes in trying to take the ring from Frodo, and therefore scaring him off and driving him away and failing the mission. And then he also tells Aragorn about Merry and Pippin being taken by the other orcs. And yeah, I mean, this is an inevitable ending, but at the same time it's the start of the Fellowship breaking up and going two separate ways. And ultimately this is the turning point that needs to happen in order for the ring to ultimately be destroyed. So, yeah. Temperance. Here we've got the lovely Samwise Gamgee and his cooking pot, where he manages to rustle up food for Frodo while they're on their long journey, and takes whatever he can find in nature to create a meal so that they can survive out there. And yeah, I think that's a really lovely temperance card, and I just love Samwise. He's so lovely. Alright, the devil. Who else but the Witch King of Angmar and the Nazgul. Right. They are the ones who are constantly chasing Frodo throughout the books and the games, and they are out on a mission from Sauron to get the ring, and they have a special connection to the ring because, if I remember correctly, they were the 9 men, the 9 kings of old that received magical rings from Sauron, and he then ensnared them with the one ring, and they became eternal slaves, even in death, to Sauron. So in a way, they are devils because they are the devil because partly because they are, trying to trap and get at Frodo all the time, but really I think the main thing here is how they are trapped and ensnared by Sauron because of their initial greed and want for power during their lifetimes, and that then in turn entrapped them for all eternity, or for as long as Sauron exists. Okay, the tower is obviously the tower at Barad-dûr in Mordor, and here we see the eye of Sauron himself, which, yes, this tower and this eye is the omen, I suppose, throughout the films. Everybody who sees the eye knows the danger and the just feels the presence of Sauron in their minds, and it's just so telling, I suppose, of the evil that he possesses. And the tower in the story symbolizes the threat to their home and to their land and to all living beings in Middle-earth. And it symbolizes the great evil of Sauron throughout the films and the books, and there could really not have been any other depiction for the tower card, really. The star. Here we see Legolas shooting an arrow, I assume at one of the Nazgul when they're riding one of the dragons that they have later on in the films and the books. I cannot particularly say that I know this specific scene. If you know, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. But yeah, the fight against the evil is what brings hope. The moon is Éowyn, and that's perfect, really. Éowyn wants to be a part of the fight, and she wants to help out and fight for her country and for her land, just like all the men. And so she goes against her father's wishes and disguises herself, dresses up in armor, and sneaks into the ranks when they ride out from the camp to go and fight in the battle outside of Gondor. And it's then later revealed during the battle that she's actually there. So this moon, her representing the moon, the femininity of the moon, and then also the illusion that she gives that she is a man, and the illusion, the trickery that she accomplishes by sneaking away and participating in the battle. Anyway, Éowyn is fantastic as the moon. And the sun, here we've got Meriadoc Brandybuck. And yeah, I suppose Meriadoc, it's in his name, Merry. He's often the person in the books and the films who brings a bit of merriment to the party. He and Pippin, they dance and laugh and make the most out of it, even though they are out on a really dangerous mission. He comes up with... he also is the one who comes up with... I believe it was him who comes up with the way of convincing Treebeard and the rest of the Ents to join the battle at Isengard. And so he is the bringer of truth and enlightenment and merriment in a lot of the instances in the story. So, judgment, and here we see the boat as they are taking off towards the Undying Lands, and this is just a beautiful depiction where you see them sailing off into the sunset. And lastly, in the Major Arcana, we've got the World, which is a map of Middle-earth. It's the land where everything is happening in the story and what they are all fighting for. So I know that the world is about completion, and I suppose, in a way, once Mordor is defeated, then Middle-earth is free to join in and come together. The elves are leaving after everything is done. The elves are leaving for the Undying Land and leave Middle-earth to the age of men, they say. And so I suppose the completion in this is that once they have defeated Sauron and Mordor, Middle-earth becomes a wholeness in and of itself, and not these different areas of land that barely knows each other. It becomes increasingly obvious throughout the books that not everybody knows that there's a place called the Shire, and there's people called hobbits, and even though there is no sea or anything dividing these areas of land or these countries, people just don't know about each other because there has been this division between the land, and it's been perhaps also too dangerous to travel too far. So yeah, that's one way of looking at it. Okay, here we are with the first suit, which is the suit of cups. And in the first picture here, the Ace of Cups, we see the vial of Galadriel, the little bottle of light that she gives to Frodo when they visit Lothlorien. And it's the bringer of hope and light in dark places, and the essence of cups of water, emotions, hope, light, a gift, a blessing given upon someone in need. Yeah, really beautiful Ace of Cups. Two of Cups. Here we've got the union of Arwen and Aragorn, where they devote themselves to each other and they pledge their love to each other. And Arwen gives Aragorn her necklace. And yeah, it's beautiful. Two of Cups. Alright, here we have the Three of Cups, and it just says in the card, I wasn't sure who it was supposed to depict, but it just says here on the sheet that it's the women of Middle-earth celebrate their sisterhood. That's really sweet. She looks a little bit like Galadriel, she looks a bit like Eowyn, and she looks a bit like Arwen. Alright, for the Four of Cups we've got Bilbo Baggins at home at Bag End in his kitchen, and I think this is the scene where he is depicted with this is the scene in the film with Gandalf, where he's talking about how he's spread too thin and how he wants to leave for his next adventure. And I think this speaks very well to the Four of Cups in the sense of his boredom and apathy of where he is, and he can't really see all the riches and the lovely kinship he's got here at home with his nephew and the community he has. He just wants to get away, and how he forgets to be grateful for what he has. So yeah, this speaks really clearly to the Four of Cups, I think. Alright, the Five of Cups is the scene where the Fellowship is grieving Gandalf after they have come out of the mines of Moria. When Gandalf falls down into the crevice or the big depths, fighting the Balrog. That's it. Fighting the Balrog in Moria. And this is going to be a very, very long video. I might actually have to divide it into two parts. But yes, absolutely, the sense of absolute loss and grief in this. And yet they have to move on. They have to turn around, look at the road ahead, and see a different way to take. And after this, they take solace and rest for a bit in Lothlorien. So, okay. The Six of Cups is the Hobbit's dance at Bilbo's birthday party. And we see here we see here all of the merriment at the party. The Six of Cups is the nostalgia card with the little kids and the white lilies in the cups. Yeah. Right, so this is the party right before everything changes. It's the memory they hold in their hearts as they are on these difficult quests. The hobbits look back to how happy they could be in Hobbiton, I suppose. This is a rosy memory, I suppose, of theirs as well. They're blissfully unaware of the quest that they will so soon undertake, and I think it might work. I think with a bit more thinking, I might be able to suss out why this is a good Six of Cups. But yeah. Alright, we've got Seven of Cups, the Mirror of Galadriel. This is the mirror I was talking about earlier when we were talking about the High Priestess card. And this is the mirror where Frodo sees the past and the present and the future and what would happen if he did not manage to destroy the ring. And this is also where Galadriel tests Frodo to see if he is worthy, I suppose, or if she herself is worthy to move on and to resist the power of the ring. But yeah, the mirror here shows Frodo all kinds of visions and the possibilities that are to come depending on what choices he makes. And that's a really good Seven of Cups card. Alright, in Eight of Cups we've got Frodo and Sam suffering the consequences of Gollum's betrayal, it says here. And yes, this is the scene. Sorry, squeaky chair. This is the scene where Gollum tricks Frodo into thinking that Sam has been eating the last piece of lembas bread, and they are tired and they are hungry, and Sam lashes out at Gollum. And the party breaks up. Sam gets told by Frodo to go away, to go home, that Frodo needs to continue on his own. And so this is a good, I suppose, a good Eight of Cups card, that Frodo decides to leave Sam's company even though he knows that he needs Sam, or that it's been a good thing to need Sam. Yeah. Okay, the Nine of Cups is Barlim and Butterbur keeps his inn. Yes, this is the barman at the Prancing Pony in the first film, where the hobbits go to meet up with Gandalf, where they actually meet Aragorn. And he is I suppose, the traditional man with all of his beers. I know Lisa Papez would not like this card. She really does not like the depiction of the Nine of Cups just being a man with all of his cups of beer. So, but it's funny, makes me smile. Alright, 10 of Cups is Arwen and Aragorn live happily with their son at the end of the journey, when Mordor has been defeated and Arwen and Aragorn gets married and they get their son. It's a beautiful depiction of the Ten of Cups. After all they've been through, they finally get a bit of happiness. Okay, Page of Cups. We've got here Faramir responds to the cruelty of his father, and I was watching walkthrough of the tarot tree where she talks about this card, and she explains it so beautifully, how the Page of Cups is Faramir, and he's standing here open and vulnerable in front of his father, wanting to be there for him in his hour of grief, after finding out that Boromir is dead, and instead he gets denied by his father's love and sent out to a battle that he cannot win. And yeah, it's a very emotional card. For the Knight of Cups, we've got Arwen again, here carrying her pendant that she gives to Aragorn as a symbol of her eternal love, and forsaking her immortality in order to spend or to be with Aragorn. Don't know how it connects to the Knight of Cups, other than, that she's a dreamy lover and she carries all of these emotions and acts on them. I suppose that in that sense, in that regard, it's a good Knight of Cups, but I do kind of find it confusing and a little bit not ideal that she's both the Empress and the Knight of Cups. I don't know, what do you think about that? Yeah. Right, for the Queen of Cups. Alright, for the Queen of Cups, we've got Celebrian, or do you pronounce it Celebrian? I'm not sure. It's spelled with a C, so it could be either way. I don't know much about her. She's not really mentioned much in the books, and I haven't read any of the surrounding lore per se. But I do know that she is Arwen's mother and the daughter of Galadriel. So I think that she could make a really good Queen of Cups. The image itself is very Queen of Cupsy, so I think that works. And since we had Arwen as the knight and Celebrian as the queen, I'm assuming Elrond. Yes, Elrond is the king. Here we got him, and I think he makes a good king of cups. He is steadfast and in tune with his emotions, and can also put his emotions aside in order to be a fair and good ruler of his kingdom. So I would say that he is very much in control of his emotions. Yeah, it's a good King of Cups for you. Ace of Coins. Here we see the nut of the melon tree, depicted, and I think that's really a beautiful depiction of Ace of Coins. The Malorn tree, I believe, are the trees that you see in Lothlorien, the big ones where the elves are living up in their canopy, and it's quite beautiful to depict the Ace of Coins, the earth element as a tree nut, the beginning, the essence of a big strong tree that can provide food and shelter and all of these earthly things for us, and that we can also use for to create houses and tools and other things. It's a very beautiful Ace of Coins, in my opinion. Two of Coins is Gandalf. Gandalf the White balances his tasks. He has stormy days ahead of him, trying to figure out where he is most needed, and a beautiful depiction of the Two of Coins it is. The Three of Coins, we've got dwarven miners and smiths collaborate to create priceless mithril items. Right, Three of Coins, yeah, that works. That works indeed. Four of Coins, Gollum. Gollum that is consumed by his greed for the ring, hoarding his and keeping the ring secret and safe because he wants it all to himself. He's precious. Absolutely, that works. Right, Five of Coins is Theoden while he is manipulated by Wormtongue. Yes, hardship, the suffering that he is enduring, and he's being shut out of his own mind. And the people are around him still supporting him even though he's not his usual self. And then Gandalf showing up to release him from this hardship. Brilliant card. Brilliant depiction of the Five of Coins. Six of Coins, we've got Galadriel presents her gifts to the Fellowship. Yes, so we've got here the depiction of Galadriel's kindness and charity, showing and giving them help in their hour of need, and works very well as the Six of Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles or Coins. Sam tends to his garden in Hobbiton. He's, worked hard in his garden and he's made something grow and it's taking root and just he's looking at his process, at the process and at the progress of the labor, the fruits of his labor. Lovely card. Eight of Coins. We see here, I think this is the Elven Smiths forging something. Hang on, let's see what it says. Guided by Anatar, the jewel smiths create rings until they can successfully forge rings of power. Okay, this is part of the lore that I am not particularly familiar with. If you know, please leave a comment down below and I would love to hear what you have to say. But as far as it's corresponding to the Eight of Pentacles. It's perfect, isn't it? They do something over and over again until they master something of power, something important, something of magic. It's work, it's dedication, and it's learning of a skill, which is exactly what the Eight of Coins is meant to depict. Alright, then we've got the Nine of Coins. And we find here Sam finding his joyous family life with Rosie and his children after the quest is completed. He has found success and satisfaction and achievement, and fulfilled his dreams after a hard journey. And the Ten of Coins is here, Sauron, the Tower of Sauron breaking apart and falling as the Mount Doom is erupting when the ring is getting destroyed. In the sheet here it says Sauron is defeated by all positive forces joined together, and his destruction will save generations to come. Which is, really a beautiful Ten of Pentacles. At the beginning of wealth and stability and security in Middle-earth. A prosperous time is starting because Sauron is defeated. It's a beautiful way of looking at it. Aww. At the Page of Coins we find Smeagol and Eagle in their boat as they're fishing together. I assume that this is depicting the scene when Deagle accidentally finds the One Ring, and the tragic events that then ensues, where Smeagol gets overwhelmed by the ring and ends up taking Deagle's life in order to take it from him. I don't really know how to marry this scene to the Page of Coins, other than the fascination and the hope and the immense feelings that overwhelm them as they find this ring of power that they do not know how to wield or stay strong against. The power of the ring kind of overwhelms them, and the greed and the I suppose strong urge to own this ring just gets the better of them, and it has this tragic outcome. So this definitely gives me a different perspective on the Page of Coins. Right, the Knight of Coins. Here we've got Farmer Maggot that tends his turnips. Alright, I suppose that will work. Farmer Maggot is this farmer that Merry and Pippin keep stealing vegetables from in Hobbiton. Or right outside of Hobbiton. He is dedicated and hardworking, and tries to protect his crops by chasing Merry and Pippin with his pitchfork. And he works steadily and quietly protects his crops. So, yes, I suppose Farmer Maggot can be the Knight of Coins. Queen of Coins is Goldberry. Of course it is. Now, Goldberry is not mentioned in the film. She is the wife of Tom Bombadil that Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin come across in the forest when they are traveling towards Rivendell in the first book. And Goldberry is this beautiful woodland creature who reigns the forest together with Tom Bombadil. And so I think she is a perfect Queen of Coins. And here we've got Tom Bombadil himself as the King of Coins. That's perfect. All right, on to the wands, or the staves as they are called in this deck. The Ace of Staves, here we see the staff of Gandalf. And yeah, I think that's a really nice, obvious choice for the Ace of Wands. The life energy and vitality and the magic that is Gandalf that resides in this staff. Yeah, I think that's a really beautiful Ace of Wands. Right, Two of Staves is the staves that cross in the conflict between Gandalf and Saruman. Now this one I'm a little bit confused about because or, I mean, I suppose it works. Yeah, Gandalf is given a choice by Saruman. Saruman wants him to join his side and to take power and make history by joining Sauron and to become more powerful like himself. And he's then choosing between security and I suppose security, or he's not security either, but he's choosing between going on a quest of what's right versus the security of being on the side of the enemy, I suppose, or the baddies. And Gandalf obviously calls him a fool. and yeah, at times a bit. I suppose the Two of Wands, when I'm reading here from a little guidebook, it says the time to decide between security and new possibilities. Both decisions are valid. Well, for Gandalf, the decision was to join Sauron was, I suppose, not valid. However, I know that he does say at one point to Frodo that he would try and wield the ring for good and then lose his power to the ring. So I suppose Gandalf does have ambitions of becoming powerful. I mean, he's a magician after all. But not at what cost? Not at this type of cost, at least. I don't know. What do you think about this card? Let me know. It caused a bit of confusion for me. The Three of Staves is Gandalf hopefully awaits rescue. So this is the next point in the story. It's when Gandalf has been trapped up on the tower by Saruman after he's basically told Saruman to F off. He's trapped up on the tower in Isengard, and he sits there waiting for the chance to arise for him to leave by calling on the eagles for aid by whispering to this moth that flies by. And I suppose, he's sitting there acting alone, sending this moth into the world and hoping for aid, hoping for cooperation with the eagles. And I suppose it works. The Four of Staves is here when the Fellowship of the Ring is formed. And here we see them all lined up together. Aragorn and Gandalf, and Legolas, and Boromir, Gimli. We've got Samwise, Frodo, Merry and Pippin. And yes, this is a lovely Four of Wands card community that's forming in this kind of resting point for the hobbits after having travelled all the way to Rivendell. It's a point of rest, of celebration, of reaching their goal. Because in the beginning their only goal was to reach Rivendell, to bring the ring to Elrond. And then this fellowship is formed, and a new struggle begins. Five of Staves is, let's have a look here. Right, this is Isildur, I suppose, and this must be Elrond. Let's have a look. Yes, Isildur denies Elrond's call to throw the ring into the fire. Yes. The struggle here between two opposing wills. It's not maybe the depiction I would have picked. It's a very strong depiction. I think it will give me some more insight into this card, perhaps. I really wish that this deck came with a guidebook, because I would have loved to hear what the artist, what the artist thought about when he chose the depictions for each card. But yes, there is a struggle of opposing wills here, and Isildur decides to go against Elrond. And but it's a very serious part of the story. And I've always had the feeling of the Five of Wands being more of a friendly competition, perhaps. And that card definitely does not, or that depiction definitely does not give the vibe of friendly competition. No. Well, anyway, Six of Wands. We've got the coronation and the celebration. So this is when Aragorn finally becomes king of Gondor, and it's a perfect depiction for the Six of Wands. The triumph and the ability that he has to inspire all those around him is just culminating in this scene, and the trust and the loyalty that everybody is showing him, and the way he leads and inspires everybody throughout the journey. And then he here has the victory of finally stepping up and becoming the king that he was born to be. And the Seven of Staves. This scene always makes me cry as well when everybody bows down to them. Okay, so this is a bit of a different take on this card, but I suppose it works. I mean, this is the 4 brave hobbits stand taller than anyone thought a hobbit could when everybody bows down to them at the coronation of Aragorn. And I mean, the 7 of Wands speaks to courage and heroism, and that's all true of these 4 hobbits. And I suppose they've gone through the whole sense of one against the whole world, but still, I'm not quite sure. But I mean, I love the look of this card overall. I suppose it works as the 7 of Wands, but I'm not 100%. 8 of Wands. We've got the spears of the riders of Rohan. It says here on the description sheet. And yeah, action, movement. The people of the riders of Rohan joining together for a common good. Higher forces acting in the world. Yeah, all of this is, it's traditional 8 of Wands. 9 of Wands, 1 of staves. A weary army prepares for the final battle. Yes, here is Rohan, who is coming to the aid of Gondor, and Theoden is talking to the army, trying to invigorate them and inspire them. Yeah, the strength and the heroic action of Rohan coming into their aid, and a moment to stand firm rather than walk away or seek solutions. It works very well as the 9 of staves. 10 of Wands. Oh dear, yes. Dear Sam, carries Frodo on his back, refusing to rest until the quest is complete. This is the scene where Frodo is so exhausted by the heaviness of the ring that he cannot simply carry on anymore, and he collapses, and Sam says something along the lines in the film of, I might not be able to carry the ring for you, but I can carry you. And he lifts up Frodo onto his back, and he starts to climb Mount Doom. And so yes, Sam here and also Frodo is carrying burdens, and they've got dedication to the quest, and is sacrificing himself for Frodo's own well-being. And he accepts this burden for the sake of the greater good, for the quest. Perfect 10 of Wands. Right. Page of Wands is Eowyn, who wishes to fight in the battle, but she is denied. Yes, okay. She's eager, excited, has a young attitude, and doesn't really realize the challenge that she is trying to take on. She's ready to begin something and declares his eagerness and willingness to her father. Yes, that works really well as the Page of Wands. The Knight of Wands is Gimli and Legolas approach the riders of Rohan with hostility. Right, yes. I suppose. Yes, they're wary when they meet the riders of Rohan on the plains, as they are chasing down the orcs who have taken Merry and Pippin. They meet the Eomer and his riders, and tense situation occurs where none of them wants to really divulge who they are, and so there's excitement and energy and a confidence there, I suppose, and they're a bit over adventurous, being so quick to draw their weapons towards this whole army of horsemen with spears that are surrounding them. Yeah, I suppose that would work as the Knight of Staves, their attitude in this moment. For the Queen of Staves, according to the fold-out, this is Luthien, and I don't know much about this story. I just know it's mentioned in the books, in a song, and I think that it's just one of these legends in the lore, Tolkien lore, about Luthien and her lover Beren, and they are, if I remember correctly, the first lovers who crossed the borders between elf and mankind, where Luthien, an elf, falls in love with Beren, a man, and yes, I think Beren here is the king. Yes, he is. So, in Lord of the Rings, the relationship between Arwen and Aragorn mirrors this story of Luthien and Beren, but that's about all I can tell you about that particular part of the story, and I don't think you really need to know too much about Luthien and Beren in order to read this as the king and queen of Staves anyway. I mean, but just how they are depicted here kind of just tells the story in itself, with the Queen of Staves here strong and confident, and the King of Staves here inspirational, and yeah, it works. That was the staff suit. Okay, the final suit, the suit of swords. Let's quickly dig into it. We have this video is already way too long. Yes, the Ace of Swords is the sword of Aragorn, of course. Ace of Swords that represents the truth and the illumination of Aragorn's heritage, and also might symbolize the calm mind that Aragorn has and shows in the faces of his difficulties, and the way he thinks clearly throughout the journey. I think that's a really lovely depiction of Ace of Swords. The Two of Swords. Here we have Arwen, who meditates on whether to leave Middle Earth. Right, so here she is faced with a choice. Her father Elrond wants her to leave Middle Earth to the Undying Lands to protect her, and she wants to stay because her heart is with Aragorn and she doesn't want to leave him. So yes, this is a really, really lovely Two of Swords. Three of Swords is Gimli learns the faith of Balin and the colony in Khazad Dûm. Yes, this is a really heart-wrenching scene where Gimli bends his knee in front of the grave of Balin, his cousin, I believe. Balin was also one of the hobbits that was traveling with Bilbo actually in The Hobbit. So yeah, heart-wrenching scene, and with grief and loss and sadness, acceptance that his colony has been killed, and he's allowing that suffering to penetrate him deeply at that point, to grieve what he needs to grieve, so that he can then afterwards can move on and do what is necessary. Lovely card. Right, 4 of Swords. We've got the Army of the Dead here, with Aragorn. And this is, yes, the Army of the Dead is relayed to rest. That's a beautiful 4 of Swords. They have fulfilled their oath and are now able to move on, to withdraw and to rest, finally find their final rest, and retreat from battle. And now when Aragorn calls them to aid them in the Battle of Gondor, afterwards he releases them so that they can finally move on from this plane and get their rest. Yes, that works perfectly. Alright, the 5 of Swords here is the Dead Marshes, it looks like. Yes, the Dead Marshes sustain the remains of a bitter battle. Right, 5 of Swords. I'm struggling a little bit with the meaning of this depiction, but I suppose this is the field where the battle took place, a big battle, and the 5 of Swords speaks to defeat and dejection, feelings of weakness, something that cannot be overcome. But I'm a bit unsure how I should interpret this card. Okay, the 6 of Swords is Merry and Pippin finding a safe passage atop the Ents. I suppose that works for the 6 of Swords, which is a time to protect others, travel with them if necessary. In the original Rider-Waite, it's a man in a boat ferrying some people, protecting them, taking them to some place safe. But yeah, I suppose that works. It's a beautiful card otherwise. Right, we've got the 7 of Swords, and here we've got Grima Wormtongue, again, who cheats and lies to get ahead. That's a really good depiction of the 7 of Swords, as someone who is sly and tricky and acts on his own, I suppose, although he is acting on behalf of Saruman. He's also very subtle and trickstery. Works very well. Alright, the 8 of Swords. My voice is starting to go. The 8 of Swords. Frodo is tested at Mount Doom. He stands there at the edge, and suddenly the ring takes hold of him, and he is struggling and cannot quite bring himself to throwing the ring into the fire. He is confused and not quite seeing things clearly. It's a moment where he can't see beyond the immediate limitation of the influence of the ring. I can see how that works for the Eight of Swords. Yeah. Right, the Nine of Swords is here what I was talking about earlier, when Denethor is about to set fire to the funeral pyre where his son is lying. Yes, Denethor's pride and despair drive him to madness. His painful grief and sadness and inability to face the reality, a deep sorrow that he must acknowledge. Yes, this works really well as the Nine of Swords as well, not seeing things clearly because of all of the anxiety and the sadness. Perfect. Alright, the Ten of Swords, we've got the ring that is destroyed and the war is won, but not without a great loss. We've got an extreme situation that's already beginning to change, and this is then clearing the way for something new to step in. There's the sunshine in the horizon that you see in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith Ten of Swords. Everything is falling apart, everybody is grief-stricken and tired, and there's been a lot of loss and grief and hard days. But it is finally coming to an end, and there is now a chance to start building anew. And that is a perfect Ten of Swords. Okay. Page of Swords. We've got the warning beacons of Gondor send their call for aid. Right, so yes, Page of Swords is wariness, alertness, looking back to the past while moving forward. That's yes, they're looking to the past alliances with Rohan and the other kingdoms to call for aid and for them to alert them to the danger that is happening in Gondor and that they need help. Yes, that works really well, actually, surprisingly enough. The Knight of Swords, the Uruks of Saruman, are unwavering and unquestioning soldiers. Right, yes. I suppose the Uruks of Saruman are unwavering, and the Knight of Swords don't hesitate, no, and they have courage and single-mindedness and possible recklessness. That does describe Uruks quite to a T, doesn't it? The Queen of Swords, we've got Galadriel, and yes, she's got a lot of wisdom and hope, idealism and clear vision, speaks the truth with total commitment. She works really well as a Queen of Swords, I feel. And then, of course, the King of Swords should be her husband, the Celeborn. Yes, Celeborn. He actually looks a lot like the actor who plays Celeborn in the film as well. Yeah, and the King of Swords, stands for authority and power and accepting of the responsibility of making decisions for others. So that works really well. Phew, we're finally done. I did not intend for this walkthrough to be this long. I just found that once I started looking at these cards, I just could not put them down, and I just felt like this video turned into a bonding ritual for me and this deck, where I really looked at the depictions of the cards and figured out how they related to the tarot, and I really feel eager to start working with this deck now, and learning more, finding more wisdom in these cards. It's an absolutely gorgeous deck, and if the creator Fix ever sees this video, I just want to say thank you so much and well done you. This is just such a lovely deck, and I'm so happy to have it be part of my collection. And I also do feel that even if you're not the biggest fan, I mean, you are a fan, but you haven't necessarily read the books or remember all that much of the books, I still feel that it's a well-rounded deck that you can read, even though you don't know all of the lore. However, having said that, I am feeling this really strong inspiration to just dig really deep into the lore right now and find out more, and so I can relate it to the tarot even more and find these kernels of wisdom. I just really wish that the artist and the creator would have written an actual guidebook for this deck, because I always find it so valuable to find out what the creator had in mind when they chose a certain character or a certain scene for a card. And I think that would have been very much appreciated by all fans of this story. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and like I said earlier in this video, I will be also posting a shorter version of this where I am just flipping through the cards with some nice relaxing background music, if you just want to look through the deck again without having to go through this whole long video. So thank you so much again for watching. Happy World Tolkien Reading Day. I hope you've been reading some Tolkien today, and I look forward to see you in my next video. Bye!